MySpace, by the way, I'd love to be your friend. Just MySpace / my last name. It's right there. Please be my friend. I would love for you to join my little burgeoning group of buddies. I'm sure none of you have MySpace, but you certainly can come and get your own MySpace. Sean, it's not a bad thing. You can have one too. You can hook up with the cool people. Come on, if you're not... some of you may do Facebook. Facebook, same story. What is this? It's an idea for community. Now, in one sense, it's sad that MySpace in elements like it exists, because what is it saying? Well, I can't get community with real people. David and I don't know each other. We can't really have community, but I can have it online. It also connects in a positive way to the fact that, we move around a lot. Very few of you will be born in Orlando or in the Orlando region, live here your entire lives, marry here, die here, be buried here. That just doesn't happen anymore. Again, that's part of why community has been taken from us and why we long for it. Gaming. Some of you are into gaming. World of Warcraft is a very, very, very popular multiple MMORPG, multiply massive online role-playing game. Many people go on and they do all this game stuff and they buy stuff but you know what else they do? They get married online. Not really get married, but their little character gets married to somebody else's little character. And we go, well, that's insane. That is a crying out for community. Even more so, you want to know the really hip game right now amongst this group? It's a game called Second Life. It literally is what it says. It's a Second Life. Anybody here know somebody who's in Second Life or any of these games? You ever heard of it? Yeah. It literally is a second life. Now, my wife says what I said. Well, I don't got enough time for my first life. How do I have time for my second life? I checked yesterday. There are over 1 million people who play this game, and it's not a game. This is a game. You get a little character, you get a little sword, you go and you find things. You find, as one of my buddies says, you go kill demons and you collect their stuff. Sounds silly, but that's the way it is. And there's a lot of different kinds of those kinds of games. This is you to show up and live. Next slide. Why does it matter? Because people matter. People matter. Let me tell you a couple other stories. Same day, the girl comes into my office. Same day. Okay? Another girl who wants to go to school here, who's not a student yet, but I know her from another context. She sits in my office at Valencia. She had tried to register. She'd come to find out stuff. And when she sat there and she goes, you know what? I figured out. She's 20. I figured out. I'm not going to be able to escape this growing up thing, am I? No. She's from a northern state. Her parents basically kicked her out of the house. Don't have anything to do with her. Won't help her. But you guys have done your work. You know to go to FAFSA. If you're not 25 or older, what do you have to do? Put your parents' information on there. And to get your parents off if they don't like you, you can't do it. You can't do it. I mean, you can try to get some papers signed that they won't talk to you or it's dangerous or whatever else, but basically you're screwed. And here's this little girl. And she's like trying to learn, how do I make it in the world? And she's got nobody. Well, she's got me and a couple other people and a community that's different. Cultivate niceness. We are in an increasingly rude society. But guess what? Again, let's look in the mirror. In this staff meeting, one of the things they were talking about, unfortunately, they were talking about y'all. And they were talking about driving onto campus and how somebody did something stupid and they're pulling in and all this kind of stuff. So I told a story. One day I was a few minutes later than I wanted to be. I wasn't late for class, although I had been late to class. Driving in, I wasn't speeding. I was driving in. A student was walking from the parking lot, across the road over on east to the next parking lot. So I know how it is in colleges. You pretty much, we rule the road. We're students. We can walk. You're going to stop. But I beat her there. I mean, she wasn't close to the road. I'd have stopped. But I went on past. But it was close enough to her that she flipped me off. She was in my class. I saw her coming. I'm thinking, there's my student. I was going to wave. I go on past. I don't do nothing. I don't honk at her. Park my car. Walk to class. It's that morning, 8:30 class. I'll use David. I walked in. I'm like, hey, David, what's up? She was just beat red. And she knew it. And she was like, oh, Mr. Creasman. Oh, I'm just... Here's what I told my friends on Tuesday, my colleagues. You know what? I try to always, not that I'm a saint, I'm not perfect, I always try to cultivate this attitude of niceness, because that person in that car that I'm honking at, that person I'm about to flip off, might be a student of mine. They may be somebody in my church, or they may be somebody who comes to my church. They may be somebody that I see at the mall later who's serving me. They may be at a restaurant, and she's my waiter, and she remembers. She remembers. An atmosphere thing. This is where I guess I'll stop here. I think lives are literally in the balance. Literally. This young lady that I saw, I don't think she's a threat for suicide, but is she a threat to be a failure as a human because she just quits and she just falls off? This young girl who wants to go to college, she's working 2 crappy jobs now. She wants to make something of her life. Somebody doesn't hold her hand, put their arm around her and say, come on, we can do this. A community doesn't rally around her. And hopefully she does, she walks onto Valencia's campus. The spirit of community that comes first from the SGA does not throw their arm around this girl and say, come on, I'll help you navigate. It seems like it's tough, but we can make it through. She's not going to make it. She's going to wake up one day, she's going to be 40. She's going to be working the same crappy jobs, have a horrible life. Honestly, you know it and I know it. You may know people like this. Now part of it may be on her shoulders for quitting. Don't quit. If you come to my MySpace, you'll read some of my blog entries where I'm like saying to people, come on guys, don't quit. You can make this happen.